President of the Republic lately signed an ordinance amending Section 49 of the Finance Law, increasing the threshold for concessional and non-concessional loans. A clearer understanding of that ordinance in this newscast. Mothers, 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 the world celebrates you today for your selflessness, love, and upbringing of the family that makes you go. The origin and gifts of Mother's Day in this newscast. And Burkinabe cyclist Paul Dumont wins the second lap of the International Cycling Tour from Tui to Mbessa, but the yellow jersey remains with Andrew Jorgen of the French cycling team. Sunday the 30th of May 2021. Good evening and welcome to the 7:30 News. I am Benin Bumagana in Yaoundé.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Once again, good evening. A presidential ordinance amending Section 49 of the 2021 Finance Law has raised the threshold for concessional and non-concessional loans. The state will be henceforth authorized to contract. The move leaves room for the state to repay the old Eurobond and negotiate another at more favorable interest rates. Clarice Aretakang explains.
Contracting a debt to pay off another of the same value, in this case the Eurobond, which Cameroon issued in 2015, securing 450 billion CFA francs to service part or all of an old loan worth the same amount. A strategic management of the debt is the objective of the presidential ordinance amending Section 49 of the 2021 Finance Law. The threshold for non-concessional loans has risen to 750 billion CFA francs, while the state is henceforth authorized to negotiate concessional loans for up to 350 billion CFA francs.
The state will be able to extend the reimbursement of the previous Eurobonds, but especially because the interest rates are more favorable now than they were when issued in 2015. Investors need guarantees that they will be repaid.
Des engagements forts de l'État du Cameroun.
Fears of an additional debt burden have been allayed at a time the state is preparing to go for another Eurobond.
On emprunte.
The state is just borrowing from investors to repay a loan from 2015, so it is not an additional debt. With 450 billion CFA francs, investors of 2015 will be reimbursed, while those of 2021 will be paid later.
Later, and giving the state room to honor commitments made with local and foreign investors.
Clarice. The Ministry of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development has further outlined the national strategy for the development of Cameroon in the magazine published this week. The document outlines the prospects aimed at facilitating the structural transformation of the national economy and promoting more inclusive development. Luma Slim Davis read through the magazine and presents the highlights.
The third edition of the Minipat news magazine could comfortably be described as a summary of Cameroon's vision, aspiration, and efforts in its quest of becoming an emerging economy in the wake of a menacing health, financial, and security challenges. The bilingual package, with colorful designs and well-illustrative pictures in 65 pages, guides the reader in understanding the National Development Strategy 30, which serves as a springboard for Cameroon's inclusive development drive. Economic indicators which englobe trends in 2020 and prospects for 2021 are explained. The lofty project to reconstruct the Northwest and the Southwest regions, sub-regional integration, and budget-based programming, amongst others, are in focus. The magazine showcases Cameroon's pride in sporting infrastructure. In an editorial written by the Minister of Economy and Regional Development, Alamin Usman May, all hands are invited on deck to make Cameroon's dream a reality.
Heads of security and defense forces in the East region have been evaluating strategies in place to check insecurity and other forms of crime across the region. The security meeting was chaired by the governor of the East region, Gregoire Mvongo, in Yokaduma. Let's hear more from Celestine Sumbele.
The security coordination meeting for the East was an occasion for the East Governor, Gregoire Mvongo, to have a general overview of the security situation in the region. In the presence of the Brigadier General, Noma Joseph, he hailed their courage and dexterity in protecting the population, their property, and Cameroon's territorial integrity along the borders with the Central African Republic and Congo. He equally advised that they should show proof of professionalism and be more than ever vigilant as the region enjoy an atmosphere of security tranquility.
Selon tous les observateurs de bonne foi, elle est bonne.
After observation with the various security heads, the security atmosphere is calm, and I recommend the administrative authorities of the region to make use of the stability by inviting economic operators in the division to invest for the well-being of the population and the growth of the region. Apart from evaluating and updating on the security situation during the last recent months, they, alongside with the senior divisional officers, laid down new security strategies to prevent local and transborder criminals from operating in the region.
On our road safety page today, our man on the beat, BrigadeAntiSardinard, says delinquent road users will meet the repressive phase of the National Gendarmerie. Kilian followed the Road Safety Task Force on the Yaoundé-Bafia-Makanene axis in the 327th outing since the campaign was launched 10 years ago and brought back this report.
From 2011, when the National Gendarmerie Road Safety Campaign started, to the end of June 2021, road accidents have been reduced by 40% and the death toll by about 30%. Yaoundé-Bafia-Makanene National Road Number 4 this weekend confirms.
Users are understanding the message, but from time to time they are insultive. But we don't care about that. What we do is our job.
It is the third generation repressive phase, but education is still a leading option for both highway code and respect of COVID-19 barrier measures.
Although we are already in the repressive phase, we still give sensitization the maximum place. A while ago, there was a woman who said she could not wear a face mask because she was just being discharged from a hospital. We simply sensitized her and offered her one face mask.
The National Gendarmerie is watching out for suspects, delinquent users and other accident-prone behavior on Cameroonian highways.
The Turkish Mari Foundation in Yaoundé is hosting its first ever scientific fair to present to parents of learners as well as visitors what its students are capable of creating in various fields. The kids presented works in the sciences, gastronomy, dance, fashion parade, all of this in the presence of the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyunga. More about that event with Joyce Tata.
A cultural day at the Turkish Mari Foundation, first of its kind since its creation, to present to the population of Yaoundé the know-how of learners. Diverse presentations which gladdens the hearts of the Turkish and Cameroonians present.
Theory must be supported by practicals. So our students, all of our students were very volunteer for this science fair. So in the fair we could see really amazing, surprising projects. Even in the beginning they intended to fly a helicopter, but I hope next year they will do this. We offer the most modern philosophy, educational philosophy and approach to our students, but combining it with the culture, with the background of Cameroon.
The Minister of Secondary Education, as well as other officials present, could feed their eyes on the creative works of the students in various fields.
All of those things are really, really beautiful. So it's really a beautiful day to see the students that they have the opportunity to display what they can do with their brains.
Existing 3 years now, the foundation hopes to organize many of such occasions to further strengthen the bond between both countries.
Today is observed in most parts of the world, including Cameroon, as Mother's Day, a day to honor the mother of the family or individual, as well as motherhood, maternal bonds, and the influence of mothers in the society. On this day, and the gifts to mothers, here is Romeo Kmer.
Mother's Day 2021. Celebrations low-keyed. Different gifts offered to mothers by individuals carry great symbols in heart.
A lot of smile, flowers, and so many gifts. Mother loves flowers. It's a sign of love and affection. Some gifts, perfumes, cosmetics, and others. Yeah.
Sweet wines, chocolates, and cakes. Some deem important for their mummies on a special day like this.
I decided to offer milk to my mother as a symbol of affection to her.
I give her a letter to show her how I love her.
Today, the best gift I gave my mother, which I'm very happy, is that I spent time with her this morning. And then I took her a nice kaba. Being a cook, I also cook for my mother today. I'm the one who made her breakfast. So I think that's the best gift I gave my mother today.
In summary, there has not been general mobilization vis-a-vis the fiesta, but what matters most for denizens is the unflinching love and care their mummies have always had for them from childhood. Enough to say, thank you, dear mommy.
Now let's revisit the official burial of the late eldest member of the Senate from V. Mukete in the Central Palace of the Bafo clan. He was decorated posthumously as the Grand Cordon of the Cameroon Order of Merit. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, represented the President of the Republic throughout the official funeral. Details from Kumba with Annabelle.
Thousands of people converge at the Central Palace of the Bafos clan in Kumba to pay homage to the eldest member of the Senate, Senator von Emeritus Victor Esimisongo Mukete, who died last April the 10th at the age of 103. While preaching at the funeral service, the Communications Secretary of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, Reverend Mukoko Thomas Mbwe, appreciated the victorious race Senator Mukete had fought and urged others to emulate the footsteps of the peace-loving patriarch. Meantime, Senator Mukete has been described by many as a dynamic patriarch, traditional and political leader who was always there for his people.
Very, child-loving person, which made it very possible for us to grow up with him in a wonderful atmosphere.
Mr. Mukete spoke his mind. That was him. Somebody who was truthful, honest to himself, and to his personality and to his people.
His love and dedication with commitment to this country remains conclusive.
The funeral ceremony was presided by Governor Bernard Okalia Belai, who hailed Senator Mukete as the emblematic statesman. The ceremony was attended by top government officials like the Deputy Secretary General in the Presidency, Elon Paul Che, the Minister Delegate for the Economy, Paul Tassong, the Secretary General of the Central Committee, Jean Kweti, the President of the Commission of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, Peter Mafani Musonge, amongst others.
Thank you for that report, Annabelle Dike Eno Anyang. Members of the Christian Men's Fellowship of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon have celebrated the 40th anniversary of the fellowship with a call to remain steadfast in the Lord. In PCC Bastos in Yaoundé, the PCC moderator, Right Reverend Funky Samuel Foba, exhorted the men under the theme, "Cast your burden onto the Lord, for he cares for you." Victor Siga with the report.
They have been features of men for the past 40 years. They are using their Ruby Jubilee to count their blessings. Men of the East Mongo North Presbytery, under the banner of the Christian Men Fellowship from far and near, have converged on Presbyterian Church Bastos to reflect on the path covered this far.
Supporting our various congregations where we are, supporting communities and doing things the way Christians are expected to do. I think we are proud.
The moderator of the PCC, Right Reverend Funky Samuel Foba, drawing inspiration from the Gospel of Peter, chapter 5 to 7, call on them to remain faithful followers of Christ, no matter the challenges.
This is a moment where Christians, especially the men, have to be resilient under the trying times in which we are going through. It is that resilience that will give us hope and enable us to cope with these trying times.
The 40 years of the Christian Men Fellowship, celebrated under the theme, "Cast your burden unto the Lord, for he cares for you," also saw the recognition of some Christians for their outstanding services in the church.
Over in the Catholic Church, that is in St. Teresa Parish in Kozwa, the Christians have been raising money to complete the church house that will seat at least 2,000 persons upon completion. The consecration and Thanksgiving Mass brought together English-speaking Christians from other parishes to contribute to the work. As you tell us, Gerald Nanji Eyambe.
A 2,000 capacity St. Teresa Parish in Kozwa Church building under construction. The Anglophone community is bent to see its completion comes to fruition.
The church is going to look like a basilica, and we need support from everywhere.
The Thanksgiving and fundraising service saw the contribution of the Catholic Men's Association Emana, lending a helping hand.
This is a little community of very few Anglophones. While we are here, we must build the church. The church is universal and it does not belong to any one community. So that is why we, the Anglophones who are here as internally displaced persons, decided that we must do something substantial.
St. Teresa Parish in Kozwa has been existing for 30 years today, and the first Mass in English was celebrated on September 29, 2020.
On to something political now. CPDM elite for the Mayo Danai division, Minister Mununa Fotso, and other CPDM members of the parliament in the Mayo Danai constituency have toured 4 localities in the constituency, offering foodstuff and seeds to farmers as a way of appreciating their loyalty to the CPDM party. Henry Tato Ekambi travels with the team.
They pushed the CPDM to triumph over its opponents in grand style in the February 9, 2020 elections, and they are now getting the appreciation they deserve from their elite.
We thought that it was the moment now during the coming raining season to come and thank them, giving them some food but also some seeds.
The grassroots supporters of the ruling party in the Mayo Danai East constituency were all smiles as they received their big thank you, accompanied by plenty of goodies.
We are glad our elites recognize our contribution in the elections. We are grateful for the food and seeds that will help us as we get into the planting season.
The thank you tour that went through Bangana, Bugudum, Gobo and ended at Gere with a grand CPDM meeting was used by the CPDM barons in the Mayo Danai East constituency to encourage the CPDM sympathizers to keep faith in the party.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
On a pitch in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic today, anti-COVID-19 soldier Baldwin Sama and his guest Dr. Andreas Njo further explains that persons who suffer from complicated health issues must first of all complete several medical tests before being administered any of the available 3 anti-COVID vaccines. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagana. There were some persons living with comorbidities, some complicated health issues, who are eager to know whether they should have themselves vaccinated or not during this ongoing vaccination exercise in the 10 different regions of the country. Let's discuss that tonight with Dr. Andreas Njo, the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the National Immunization Program. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
Persons living with comorbidities, persons with some complicated health issues, must they have themselves vaccinated?
Yes, of course. The first thing is that the high-risk group are those with comorbidities. They are one of those in the high-risk group. So it is important those who have underlying health conditions like hypertension, like diabetes, chronic lung disease, get vaccinated. Now, the challenge may be with those who are critically sick. Those who are critically sick, I think it might be important to wait until they recover. But whatever the case, at the moment, we think the message is that every person 18 years and above can get to the nearest health facility that offers COVID vaccination and get vaccinated. At this point, the health staff that is there will assess on a case-by-case basis to determine eligibility or not.
You talked about persons who are critically sick. Cameroonians need to understand when you are positive for COVID-19, you must avoid being vaccinated.
For sure, those who have a positive diagnosis for COVID-19 should, of course, wait for at least 6 months before getting vaccinated. The question here is not about being critically sick or not, because there are some who will get positive results, but they will not develop a severe form of the disease. In both cases, it's good to wait for 6 months and then take your vaccine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Andreas Njor. The message is very clear. If you have been tested positive for COVID-19, whether severe or mild symptoms, you have to avoid being vaccinated because it is very, very risky having yourself vaccinated when you are COVID-19 positive. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
And thank you, Baldwin Sama van Kamer. So we retain that knowing your status and health situation is a conditio sine qua non to receive the COVID vaccine. The farming population of Ngomedzab in the Nyong and So division of the Central Region have received medical equipment and farm tools to enable them step up their health and yields. The donation is from Honorable Helen Atangana, as Victor Siga tells us in this report.
The gesture seeks to ameliorate the health conditions of the population while improving farm productivity within the locality for the well-being of the inhabitants of Ngomedzab. It was necessary to check how they are faring, especially with the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic, and to also promote living together through this donation.
Avec cette remise des dons, leur faire passer le message de paix, le message de vivre ensemble.
Honorable Helen Atangana offered them sterilizer, mattresses, hospital beds, COVID-19 preventive gadgets, and farm tools.
I'm so delighted because this is not the first time Madame Helen Atangana is offering us or is extending this kind gesture to us. This gift that she has given to us is going to enable us to carry on our activities smoothly, because before we had some difficulties.
While calling on the beneficiaries to use the gift to their destined purpose, she says the same gesture will be extended to other localities in the months ahead.
The mortal remains of Professor Michel Chadeone, one-time editor-in-chief of Radio Cameroon and ex-deputy director of the Advanced School of Mass Communication, has been laid to rest in Mangeng village here in the Central Region. Beatrice Losamba tells us more.
In Mangeng 1 near Matom in the Central Region, a high-profile scholar is also revealed as man of majestic stature, one who contributed to afford a good name for his kindred and deserving of a burial worthy of notables. The Bassa Batimpo community, represented in numbers at his burial, remembers Professor Michel Chadeone for playing a major role in pushing for the creation of a new region that incorporates the Grand Sanaga Maritime.
We drew up a file to ask for a creation of Grand Sanaga Maritime region. And we are waiting for an answer. Professor Chadeone was collecting information about human resources in Grand Sanaga Maritime.
In the outer world, the ex-deputy director of the Advanced School of Mass Communication and editor-in-chief of Radio Cameroon in the 80s, author of outstanding publications, touched lives during a career that spanned over 40 years. The Minister of Higher Education's representative made it to his burial with a message of condolence to his wife, children, and grandchildren. as the media adept, man of high stature, exits, a mass said by the Bishop of Obala ushers him to a life beyond.
We also follow the funeral stories of two media professionals, Pascal Mebeaba, who died at the age of 67 and was laid to rest in Loum in the Central region, and Pierre Baba Musa, who died in active service at the National Radio. First of all, the funeral story of Pascal Mebeaba by Beatrice Ngom.
An elegy in memory of a radio icon, a choir director and a teacher. A funeral song to bid farewell to Pascal Mebeaba, a man who lived and served Christ and humanity till the end, as described by the clergy as they prayed for the repose of his soul. Colleagues and well-wishers who condoled with his family said Pascal Mebeaba was a gentleman with exceptional qualities. The representative of the Director General of the CRTV, Jean Tangana, said Pascal Mebeaba was that voice on the 1 p.m. news on the national station that resonated in homes before his retirement, that professional who inspired many and that role model. Pascal bows out of stage at 67, but his legacy lives on in the hearts of those who knew him. He will be survived by wife, children, and grandchildren.
And the remains of Pierre Baba Musa were laid to rest at the family compound in Gambara and Gaundere in the Adamawa region. Ellis Waji Banmia with the dirge.
Saddened loved ones and grieving friends paying their last homage to one they considered an epitome of kindness and humility. Pierre Baba Musa's death came like a punch to the gut for many. My kid brother was a man of integrity. He was of great help to the entire family. In his career as a journalist that spanned over 2 decades, Pierre Baba Musa worked at CRTV's Southwest, West and Adamawa regional stations before being transferred to the central news desk of the national station in Yaoundé, where he finally dropped his pen.
Pierre Baba Musa was working with the political service. He was one of the men on whom we could count at any time, at any moment.
During a church service in his honor, Baba was described as one who was fiercely loyal to those lucky enough to call him a friend.
Pierre Baba Musa était une plume mûre.
Baba Musa was serviceable and a great professional for the CRTV. It is a great loss for the entire house.
Et avec sa disparition, bien évidemment, cette rédaction perd une de ses valeurs les plus sûres.
Born in 1964, fit in a family of 11, Pierre Baba Musa died on May 12, 2021 at the Yaoundé General Hospital. He is survived by a wife and 4 children.
Our condolences. In sports, Burkinabe cyclist Paul Dumont has won the second lap of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon from Tui to Ombessa through Obala. He covered the 112 kilometers in 2 hours 49 minutes. However, the yellow jersey is still with Andrew Jorgen of the French cycling team. Baldwin Sama with details.
He crosses the finish line first for the second lap of the race. Burkinabe cyclist Paul Dumont from the start of the race was simply exceptional. He led the regrouped pack that rode out of Tui. As the cyclists crossed the Natural Bridge, there were several breakaway attempts that were short-lived. As they crossed Obala, the first veritable breakaway, led by Cyril Couture of France and Paul Dumont of Burkina Faso, was visible with a 2 minutes time difference from the pack that later increased to 2 minutes 55 seconds. The pack faced some challenges meeting the breakaway that widened the gap to 3 minutes 10 seconds. Passing through Sa, the same momentum was maintained as 30 kilometers to Ombessa. Crossing the Sanaga Bridge, the time difference was reduced to 1 minute. Paul Dumont of Burkina Faso outsprinted the others and headed towards Ombessa alone as he crossed the finish line first in 2 hours 49 minutes 53 seconds.
It wasn't quite easy for me during the second lap, given that I had to maintain the breakaway from start to finish.
The first Cameroonian cyclist, Clovis Kamzong Abusolo, emerged 6th of the lap and overall 5th, some 1 minute 49 seconds behind the yellow jersey, still in the keeping of Andrew Jordan of France. This Monday, the cyclists will cover 98 kilometers from Bagante to Kongsamba for lap 3.
It is with that we come to the end of the 7:30 news. At 8:30, you will meet Arthur Badinoma for what is making news in the French language. Tomorrow, Monday, the legend Ben Menopufon will be here for the 7:30 news. From me, have a wonderful day. God bless you.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.